why is the Auburn's women's basketball team going through a practice right now here in Tuscaloosa for an Alabama men's basketball game featuring the Kentucky Wildcats? I don't know, but it's been a really weird night. Steven's about to throw up everywhere, so we're just having a great time. Steven, is it because of the team's performance or just because you're physically ill?
I'll tell you what, if they had won, I probably would feel a little bit better, honestly. I don't feel good right now. We're gonna power through this rapid reaction.
I'm kind of rooting for a vomit. I'm not gonna lie. Like I want you to feel better, but there is a slight part of me after witnessing this. It kind of make my night a little bit better, to be totally honest. We're gonna get a ball beamed at us for sure during this thing. And
it's almost guaranteed at this point.
We should put money on what's going to happen first. Steven vomits or a ball hits us in the dome as we're going. Kentucky loses 96-83. The first 4 minutes were awesome, Steven. They were really, really fun.
I had a lot of fun the first 4 minutes.
They were really, really fun. It was a back and forth, track meet that we all expected, but Kentucky was hitting big shots, scoring 16 points in that opening segment. At one point, Kentucky was on pace to score 160 points. It was just, everything that you hope for. And then the depth really, really just kind of set in of, oh, hey, this team is down 3 scholarship players. You have 2 that will ultimately foul out and 1 that would have 4 fouls. Just didn't have the gas. They ran out of gas down the stretch, and it was really, really painful to watch that slow burn of a death in such a high-octane matchup. It
was a fun game to watch. If you're a neutral observer, that's an up and down. I like the way both teams play. It was exciting brand of basketball. Look, Kentucky's shorthanded. Same thing we've been talking about for several years now at this point. Just the Kentucky basketball injury curse that just lives on and keeps the gift that keeps giving. Thank you. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling so good. We had you're already shorthanded, and then I think Oweh fouled out with about 8 minutes to go. Is that right?
Rest in peace to the streak.
That's so that he didn't get to double figures.
Unfortunately, 2 points, 1 of 9 shooting, 6 rebounds, 5 fouls. Fouls out in 22 minutes, is not able to extend the streak that has been matched by nobody in the SEC and only 10 total people in Division I basketball. So not his best day. Even talking to Oates after the game, they were like, even if he didn't foul out, we're still talking 28, 30 minutes, whatever. It still would have been a poor showing for him, and they were very proud of the defensive effort. Interesting talking point from Oates afterwards, said that part of the game plan was to let Andrew Carr get whatever he wanted. Just let him score, let it fly. Said it was just kind of a scouting report, like, hey, we're going to take the percentages, play the injury, and just see kind of what happens, knowing what the first matchup looked like.
About 10 straight misses in a row.
And Andrew Carr made them pay. To his credit, he came in with a chip on his shoulder wanting this.
I haven't seen him make in 15 shots.
After the head-to-head
Sorry, let's talk about Kentucky.
Against Grant Nelson in Lexington.
16.
Just not his day in
17.
Lexington. Andrew Carr plays out of his mind tonight, so give him credit. But that was something that Nate Oates said that they wanted to see happen and try to not let anybody else kill you. Didn't want Otega to kill you. Didn't want some of the other guys. Koby played really, really well. He was disappointed. Nate Oates was disappointed that Brea did play as well as he did, getting 10 threes up. But just not good enough across the board outside. Amari Williams was excellent. Travis Perry stepped up at point guard as well as he's physically able to. But really outside of that grouping of 4, everybody else just was not good enough. It just was not a good enough day. Kentucky got nothing from the bench. Got to figure out how to ride Amari Williams a little bit more than even 27 minutes. Just wasn't good enough with Brandon Garrison minutes. Ainsley Almanor gave you 0 points in 10 minutes. Just didn't have the dudes down the stretch, unfortunately, as Mark Sears goes for a second consecutive game of 30 plus, and 5 made threes from Aiden Holloway. Just kind of that kind of day.
Yeah, Mark Sears is a really good basketball player, and Alabama is a really good team. And we knew Kentucky coming in. This is it's going to be a tough one for Kentucky to pull out. I got a ton of text messages during the game and after the game asking why the substitution pattern is what it is. I'd like for you to answer it. This is what I told people. I said, like, look at what the situation currently is. Maybe certain guys came in and at times maybe they didn't need to. I don't know. I just feel like this was an up and down game. The way Alabama plays, the pace they play at, guys were going to get fatigued. You had to go to your bench some, and like you said, you didn't really get a whole lot from them. I mean, while he was out there, Collin Chandler did a few good things, but he got 5 fouls in how many minutes?
13.
Yeah, and he had like 4 fouls in like 8 minutes or something like that. So, and then you go down the line with Brandon Garrison, who, he was 3 or 5 from the field, but this was not one of his better performances. I don't think. And then Ansley Almanor, he had a 3 in the corner that I just assumed was bottoms, and he missed his only attempt. I think, is that right? Yeah. So I mean, what do you think about the substitution pattern? Because that's obviously been a talking point on popular radio shows and from Kentucky fans.
When you are as shorthanded as you are, you have to adjust and keep guys fresh, and you can't really afford to run guys into the ground. But were there moments that I wish that we ran Amari a little bit longer, or whatever? Andrew Carr was brilliant in that opening stretch. He sat for an extended period, dealt with some again. But when you're already shorthanded and then you deal with foul trouble the way Kentucky did, let's just have a conversation about the officiating. Officiating did not cost Kentucky the game, point blank period. It did not. Kentucky had every opportunity to even win. They almost got one of the head there. But
these are really good basketball players.
See, now you.
Sorry, referees.
Oh yeah, the officiating was absolutely terrible. Somebody just made a half-court shot. Apparently, I'm going to make one
of 50
after they leave. The officiating did not cost Kentucky the game, but it did not help in the slightest. With when you're as shorthanded as you are, as is, you can't really afford anything tighter than what the rotation is as currently constructed. When you're short 3 scholarship players, you can't have 2 additional guys on top of that. You're down to 9. Take 2 more out to give you 7. Some guys non-factors out there anyway. Another having 4 fouls to make him play, with caution and not playing as balls to the wall as he probably would have been. It just felt like Kentucky had everything that they needed in that opening segment. They went back and forth for the next little bit, crumbled again in that last segment before half. Seems to be a theme, one that Mark Pope has talked about very often. And then it just felt like in the second half, they just didn't have the gas. It just felt like they were running out. And
it did, and yeah.
You just kind of sit there and you watch it unfold and you go, I don't know what you do. Like when they call a ticky-tack foul on every single possession, Mark Sears is getting officiated like he's 2018 MVP James Harden. Like, you just kind of just sit back and go, well, yep, not our night.
Yeah.
But then it does kind of get to the point, Stephen, where it's like, well, what do you do for the foreseeable future? You just you try to win in Norman. That's one that they got to get, and then LSU.
Yeah.
But outside of that, do you just say, yeah, probably not going to get the job done against Auburn? Just being a realist, like not going to get it done against Auburn. Maybe not going to get it done against at Mizzou. But what does the new reality of this team look like until we get to see Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson back in a Kentucky uniform? I don't know. It just they felt like a very, very good team versus a very, very shorthanded team that also dealt with foul trouble, trying their best.
Yeah, I mean, when you go on the road, you're not going to get the whistle, and sometimes Kentucky at home, they don't even get the whistle.
They never get the whistle at home.
It is
crazy going to events like this and not being able to see what a home whistle looks like. Oh, that would be nice, and then just not being able to get it. Although, as we, this was the issue with Pat Adams calling the game of his life just a couple days ago, where Pat called a great game, but when you kind of sign the deal with the devil, it's the long-term effect that comes with it, not the short-term win. So yes, we took care of business in that one, but unfortunately we now had to live with the consequences tonight. So shout out Pat Adams, still screwing us over when it's not even his call.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's just going on the road again. You're just, that there's going to be, you're just not going to get a favorable whistle. It's what I expect every time Kentucky plays a road game. It was true again tonight, but that's what it is. And it's not, like you said, it's not why Kentucky lost this game. I know there was some video going around Twitter of Otega's foul on Mark Sears. Maybe he clipped his hand. It's tough to see with that angle. But if he did, then Travis Perry should have been shooting 3 free throws as well. I don't know. What does Travis Perry got to do to earn a foul call? He also got hacked right here, got thrown to the not thrown to the ground, but it was clearly a foul on a layup attempt. Man, what does Travis Perry got to do to earn a whistle?
It's whatever, man. Like there were so many calls at the end where it's just like, all right, whatever. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. But again, Alabama is a really good team, and
that shouldn't be discounted. We got their best shot in the second half. We saw Kentucky's best shot in the first. It just wasn't sustainable.
But how big do you think it is to have Andrew Carr? Yes, they were leaving him open. It's like, gosh, it looks to be that's the strategy, because he was wide open a couple times, and as we heard from Nate Oates, that was the strategy. But how big can that be going forward? Because he hasn't really been himself since the back injuries, and I said on the way here, I watched the Duke game last night because I wanted to get some positive stuff, a positive frame of mind, and man, he was massive in that game. He was a big part of down the stretch of why they were able to win. How big is that you might get him back, get him confident?
Yeah, he played really well the other night against Vanderbilt as well. So you're seeing him put together full strength stretches, which is all you ask for Andrew Carr. I'd like to see this team with full strength stretches, but it really is just kind of hard to even paint sunshine and rainbows and try to be like Mr. Optimist when it really does just like, hey, Kentucky's not healthy. You're down your second and third leading scorer. Made do with it against Vanderbilt, but we saw that Kentucky against the best of the best is they're just not going to be able to have the gas long term to be able to win these types of games, and it's frustrating, especially when you look, some of the numbers that really jumped out. You force 15 turnovers, but you only get 11 points scored off of them, versus 13 turnovers forced by Alabama, leading to 24 points off the other way. You look at the missed free throws. Kentucky made free throws a little bit, converted better in the second half. But in that
4 of 9 in the first half.
First half.
What was the front end?
Really, really, really hurt. Guys that you need to hit big shots, not making them. Travis Perry was wide open on a ton of good looks that Travis Perry has made thousands of in his life as the all-time record holder in the state. Goes 1 for 7 from 3. It just, there were a lot of things that when you're in a situation that Kentucky is in right now, you have to play a perfect game.
Yeah.
And they did for the first 4 minutes, and then the wheels fell off, and it just one of those, what can you do? You had a chance. The game plan was solid, and then it just worked against you, and the depth crept back up. And
Otega only getting to play 22 minutes he's 1 of 9 from the field, but 2 points. You'd have told me that was his stat line coming in, I'd probably say Kentucky lost by 25 points. Honestly, this is so unlike me to say this. And it's so unlike, this is not the Kentucky
29
attitude.
Bench points versus 15 for Kentucky.
Yeah,
you're getting doubled up on the bench.
Look, if this was the roster at the beginning of the year, if this is there's a lot of good players on this team. And there's a lot of good players, even the guys you got available, those are good players, but it's probably towards the bottom of the SEC as far as talent goes, just raw talent. I'm not hating on, I think Travis Perry's going to be a great basketball player. I think
he grew a lot.
That's the one positive I'm taking from this.
He puts his head down and finishes strong around the rim, and his shot wasn't falling, but he got after it. He got in it, and that was really.
He had a cut on his face. Andrew Carr had a cut. These guys were giving it everything they had.
Because again, when on the other end, you can get punched in the face and it not lead to anything. And, you get clothesline. Amari Williams is clothesline. And they confirm a common foul. And, just go down the list. So, yeah, I'm sure it was a totally clean to get Travis Perry and, to get blood on his face. Like, I'm sure it was totally legal. I bet Travis, as he's shooting, just as he's coming back, he hits himself in the face. And he should probably get a foul called on Travis Perry for his own wound, if that makes sense.
This is, and like I was saying, this is not the Kentucky attitude. This is an exception for this season. And really this season only. You will never hear me say this again after getting beat by 13. I was pretty proud of the way that the guys played tonight. And they didn't back down. There were a couple of times I thought, Alabama was about ready to blow this one open. And Kentucky kept battling back. And then even late, Collin Chandler hits a three. I'm like, it's only a 7-point game. There's 2 minutes to go. I mean, it's going to take something special, but they're in this game. That's an exception I'm willing to have like for one season, and it's this one. I mean, just all of the things that this coaching staff has had to deal with, these players have had to deal with, and I mean, they're giving it everything they got. I have a few criticisms, like, Koby Brea, maybe just shoot the ball. Don't hesitate. Like, I want you to shoot every single time. Like, a little bit of daylight, shoot it. I think it's going in. There was a time I think Kentucky was only down 3 in the second half, and he gets the ball in the
35 minutes for Brea, too.
Wow. I mean, these are numbers that Kentucky players haven't really got to much this year. I didn't realize he played, almost the whole game.
28 for Travis.
Yeah, and I mean, before the season, if I told you Travis Perry is playing 28 minutes at Alabama, what do you think?
And the second leading shot taker.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one positive I'm taking out of this. You mentioned, like, what can we expect in these final, how many games we got left? 4. Wow, that is crazy. Only 4 games left. I'm still expecting them to beat LSU and Oklahoma. I think you probably need to win those games.
No, you do. You absolutely do. You have to.
But aside from that, and it's what I saw today, we're seeing Travis Perry. I mean, I believe in him. I really think he's going to be good, and he's getting like valuable experience right now. This was, a tough place to come play. You're playing one of the top 5 teams in the country, and he held his own. And I really think like that this experience is gonna pay off down the line for this team. But you mentioned the Auburn game and the game in Missouri. More so Auburn. Like, it's actually interesting. There's no must wins. There's no just go play ball. Like, I'm enjoying watching this team play, watching some young guys grow, and I'm really enjoying watching how this staff is able to formulate a game plan to keep you in these games. Because again, I really thought there was a couple times I thought Alabama was going to blow this thing open, and to Kentucky's credit, they weren't able to do that. Man, I do not feel good. Like, can you drive back to the hotel tonight?
I can. May have to drive back tomorrow to Lexington, but whatever. It just unfortunate. Those first 4 minutes were awesome. Those last 36 were not, and now we just go back to the drawing board. You just pray to the injury gods that it works out to where one of them comes back. Probably not going to be Oklahoma. Hope that one of them is back for Auburn, and we'll just see. It just feels like a wait and see game, and you just kind of live however long and however hard you're able to until then. And this feels like we're not punting on to the postseason, but it does just feel like we're just waiting for these next couple of weeks of just the iffiness to pass so we can see this team again at full strength, because it's hard to really talk about how good this team is or how bad this team is or where they can improve or whatever until we know the core group at full strength, what that looks like. So until then, 13-point loss, it sucks, but we'll see. Hopefully you get it done in Norman. We'll keep rooting them on and keep following them along the way. Until then, go Cats. We'll see you next time.
Go Cats. We still got to make a shot before we leave. God, I feel like shit.